Oh, man. This headline goes crazy. Trump again escalates attacks on judge's daughter despite gag order. Oh boy. Donald Trump's first criminal trial is coming up, so of course he's attacking the judge and his family. Donald Trump is still tiptoeing around violating the gag order in his hush money trial, this time launching fresh vitriol at Judge Juan Merchan's daughter while referring her to his followers by name. Quote, Judge Juan Merchan is totally compromised. Judge Juan Merchan is totally compromised and should be removed from this Trump non-case immediately. Trump posted on social media Thursday afternoon. His daughter, Lauren, is a rabid Trump hater, who has admitted to having conversations with her father about me, and yet he gagged me. She works for crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Adam Shifty Schiff, and other radical leftists who campaign on getting Trump and fundraise off of the Biden indictments, including the witch hunt, which her father presides over, a total conflict, and attacking Biden's political opposition through the courts. Former DA Cy Vance refused to bring this case, as did all federal agencies, including elections, he continued. Huge. Zan's Trump inflections are perfect. I've listened to him speak a lot, you know. It's kind of hard not to pick up on the way he speaks. You gotta grab him by the pussy. They when you're famous, they let you do it. She works for crooked Joe. Oh yeah, I already read that. Trump's new line of attack against Merchan's daughter comes after he targeted her for allegedly sharing a doctored photo of Trump behind bars on social media, aka a meme. That theory was quickly debunked after a representative for the New York State court system pointed out that the account wasn't even hers. Judge Merchan is overseeing Trump's first criminal trial and the only one currently scheduled to take place before the election. That's right, guys. This is not a civil trial. This is a criminal trial. On Tuesday, Trump won himself a gag order after attacking Merchan's daughter. The partial gag order forbids Trump from speaking publicly about courtroom staff. Literally, all that's happened here is that, like, the daughter of the judge presiding over his criminal case happens to not like Trump and has spoken negatively of Trump before because that's allowed to be a thing. It's not illegal to dislike Trump, much to his chagrin. And so he is trying to, A, point this out as if it's some conflict of interest that exists, and B, he thinks that insulting the judge's daughter is going to go well for him because he just keeps on slipping out of justice at every turn so far. Although he is currently facing massive civil charges currently. A massive civil bail charge that he cannot afford. He may have to liquidate all of his assets in order to pay it because the bond companies or bond agencies, whatever they're called, they don't accept property, boats, art, things like that for bond. They don't accept assets. They accept liquid cash. So Trump's gonna have to liquidate, maybe file for bankruptcy, and maybe be able to pay part of the bond. And it's not a criminal bond, it's a civil bond, remember, but this is a criminal trial. This here is a criminal trial. This is not a civil trial. Judge Merchan is overseeing Trump's first criminal trial and the only one currently scheduled to take place before the election. On Tuesday, Trump won himself a gag order after attacking Merchan's daughter. The partial gag order forbids Trump from speaking publicly about courtroom staff, prosecutors, or any of their family members. He's already broken it and will continue to do so. Comments about jurors are also prohibited, as well as comments about witnesses, but wiggle room still exists within the order that allows Trump to attack Merchan or Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. It's still not going to help him. It's still not going to help him. He is literally attacking the daughter of the judge. There's no way. There's no way. Maybe Trump's method here is to try to, like, publicly attack the judges so much that if they bring down a even close to harsh sentence, then they'll look like they had a conflict of interest, and he'll be able to use it as grounds to call for a retrial. Maybe that's his strategy. He's probably got, like, very good legal experts on the horn to talk to, just not really good lawyers. But in private, I'm sure he's got really good legal experts that tell him loopholes he can take advantage of to prolong this stuff. It remains to be seen what, if any, consequence there will be for the continued attacks. Trump should be no stranger to the legality of gag orders. So far, he's been hit with them in 2 of his other legal trials. In October, Judge Arthur Engoron silenced the former president after he ushered a scourge of far-right vitriol onto Engoron's chief law clerk. Trump was later fined $15,000 for violating the order. Judge Tanya Chutkan also imposed a gag order on the former president in his election interference trial, of which Trump continued to break. Trump is not capable of not being a complete piece of shit to anybody presiding over a case he's involved in. It's just that all of these trials have been so low stakes for some fucking reason that Trump doing everything wrong as almost like a brag of the fact that no matter what he does, the legal system can't get him. Is he eventually going to get too big for his britches, be too cocky for his own good, and end up, rolling the dice and getting a nat 1 at the worst time? Could that happen? That's really the question at this point, because Trump has literally lived up to his name pretty consistently so far, the name of Teflon Don. One sec, chat.
Andrew, Judge Walton appointed...
This is so funny to me. Federal judge speaks out after Trump attacks New York judge's daughter. So this is a federal judge speaking on the issue on MSNBC, or as you guys probably call it, MSDNC.
By President Bush. This is someone who has had a lot of experience with January 6th defendants in Washington, D.C. Very unusual for a federal judge to do public interviews like this, and he's decided he wanted to have something to say about Donald Trump's conduct.
It is very unusual to have judges speaking out in this way, but it's worth noting that Judge Walton, extremely respected judge in D.C., is not the only judge who has been speaking out. You have Beryl Howell, the former chief judge, Royce Lamberth, who used to be on the FISC, the FISA court, also very well respected.
When are these judges just going to put their foot down and just drop the heaviest possible hammer on Trump? Why can't these judges use the same type of shit they use to put, shitloads of black people into prison for the same crime that white people do for less time? Why is it that, we have data that overwhelmingly shows if you're black, you're more likely to go to jail or prison for longer to get a harsher sentence or be found guilty more likely than if you're white? There's clearly some level of wiggle room judges and juries, etc. have to, have a little bias play a factor here. Can we not have a little bias play a bit of a factor here? It's happening every single day to usually young black men all across the country. And meanwhile, Donald Trump somehow seems to get the lightest possible consequences every single time, despite constantly being a disruption to the court. he would literally, like, yell in the courtroom, insult the judge, and the judge will say, "Oh, I'm gonna slap you on the wrist again if you do that one more time."
To judge, all speaking out about the problem of violence, of the problem of people spewing lies about the judiciary. And, it makes sense that that is where we are, unfortunately, as a country. We lived through a time where the media was constantly attacked because it was a check on the power of Donald Trump. We lived through that with respect to the Department of Justice, individual prosecutors, as I know very well, for the same reason, because it was a check on his power. And now that he is facing enormous civil liability and criminal liability, with the first of the criminal cases starting on the 15th. This is all to be expected, and it's all a sign of where we are as a country. And it's good to see judges in a bipartisan way speaking up about the rule of law and how central and important it is to our country.
And it's
God, so much mainstream traditional media has a problem with being dry and boring. Part of what I want to do with my channel a lot with segments going into the future is taking these stories that you would more likely than not either have to read an article or watch a boring ass panel on MSNBC, sort of filter it into an entertaining format that still carries the information forward to you all, to give you the news, my commentary on it, but to do so in an entertaining way, so you're not just bored out of your mind. Because who the fuck, besides me and like a very small group of people, watches this shit? That's a rhetorical question we can check. We can actually check. You know what? This actually has a lot of views. 212,000 views. Ooh, but 4.4 thousand likes. These are all going to be hate comments. Free the J6 hostages. Trump is innocent. I'm tired of the Democrats targeting him. He was the best president we've ever had. A lot of these are just, like, incoherently poorly typed. Yeah. It always sucks when you click on, like, a CNN or MSNBC video. It's, like, actually quite good, reasonable coverage of an issue with, like, a lot of, like, evidence to back up what they're reporting to be the case. And it has, like, what views it does have are all from hate commenters that are, like, anti-fans that instant hate comment on every new CNN video, no matter what the topic is, but most certainly if it's covering Trump negatively. There's a bird screaming outside. I live in nature. There's always birds outside.